All right, old friends, new friends, everybody else, welcome to episode 1047 Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you very much to all of you, as always, for watching the show, for listening, however you consume Talking Buffalo. I appreciate you guys so much. Big shout out to sponsor of today's show, Sunny Reds, 1841 Aber Road, just down the way from Highmark Stadium. Great wings, great food, great vibes, great place to be. If you haven't been there, make sure you go check out Sunny Reds, 1841 Aber Road. All right, I am recording this, folks, today, Tuesday afternoon, right now, early afternoon, on actually it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Um, doesn't mean shit in this house, especially today. This is a packed day here in the Moran household. My daughter, Madison, big shout out to her. Love her so much. She's graduating from college. Such a proud dad moment. Duville nursing, her pinning ceremony, her nursing pinning ceremony is later this afternoon. So I tried to find a little bit of time to squeeze in an episode. This is a Monday through Friday episode. Typically, I would have recorded with somebody else later in the day, but because of how, with the time constraints for today, I'm kind of jamming something in solo. I thought for today, this would be a fun thing to do. I'm going to have a little 10 Buffalo Bills predictions episode before week one starts. That's going to be the theme of the show today. I love doing these. I think they're fun to track. I'm sure I'm going to have something similar with a guest at some point, like close to training camp in late July. But for now, this will be fun to do, and it'll be more fun to be able to go back later on, take a look at it, and see how my predictions were. I feel like I got a few good ones in there for today. That'll be fun. Yesterday's show, apparently, to a lot of you who listen to the show or watch the show, not quite as much fun. I got a lot of criticism via YouTube comments, so some tweets, things of that nature. A lot of criticism leveled at myself and Matt Moore from SB Nation about us being critical towards Buffalo Bills general manager Brandon Beane. Yesterday's show was primarily about highlighting, or I should say in this case, lowlighting some of the biggest misses that Brandon Beane has had as Buffalo Bills general manager. And look, I got some thick skin, man. I know it comes with the territory. When you have an audience, you're not going to please everybody. Somebody's always going to have something to complain about. And in fairness to the complainers, sometimes they're right. I get that. But listen, both Matt and myself went out of our way before getting into the meat and potatoes of yesterday's show to talk about, on the whole, how good of a job Brandon Beane has done as Bills general manager. You don't build a football team, and I know they got an all-world quarterback, an MVP quarterback, and obviously he's that big piece and a huge reason why the Bills are good year after year after year. But you're not a perennial AFC championship contender every year without a general manager who's doing a fantastic job of building a championship caliber, or at least contending roster. So we gave a lot of props to Brandon Beane. But, we try to be objective. I try to be objective on the show. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I don't run from that shit. I love it. And I never will run from that. But this ain't a fanboy show. Talking Buffalo is not necessarily just a fan show. When there's things to be critical about, we're going to talk about it objectively, at least attempting to be objective about it. We're going to just like all the fun and rosy things as well. So there's that. An interesting episode, or I should say at least interesting feedback from yesterday's episode. And also real quick, if you watch the show, the beginning and the end, I tried to there's a local band, and I'm not going to tell the story for a third straight day. But long story short, I hooked up with this band, a Buffalo local band called Orange Zest. They have this song called Old Friends that I became really fond of immediately after hearing it. Reached out to them. We worked something out. and they gave me their blessing to use a snippet of that song as the new intro for Talking Buffalo. And on yesterday's show, at the very end, I played the entire song, Old Friends. Again, this is a tune that I really liked a lot. And I promoted them. I said, listen, this is a band in Buffalo. If you're a Buffalo music goer, they are worth checking out. Some really cool vibes, some good music that they put out. I linked them in the show notes and I played the entire song. Well, I uploaded it to YouTube and almost instantly YouTube restricted it. They wouldn't allow me to play the song. They blocked it. They gave me a copyright strike and all this other bullshit that sometimes comes with doing stuff on YouTube. So I had no choice. I had to take the song down. I had to edit the video, had to edit out the intro and the whole song at the end. Just YouTube wasn't happening. It sucks. It sucks because I'm trying to highlight a good local band that I took a liking to. I'm trying to get that resolved with YouTube. Hopefully, I'll be able to sooner than later. So for now, if you want to listen to what I'm talking about, the intro by them will be on the audio side only, and I'll play it, and I'll probably play it again too. If you want to go to yesterday's show, I played the entire song at the very end. So go check out yesterday's show for no other reason than to go listen to that song. Let me know what you think. Go support them. Go support local music here in Buffalo, which also serves as a reminder because I know that we're growing a lot on the video side. I could tell by the views, and I appreciate everybody who watches these videos. But what I will ask you right now before we dive into today's show is even if you are subscribed on the video side, at times there's things that we don't get up on YouTube. The only way you're going to be guaranteed to get every single episode of Talking Buffalo in its entirety, unedited, is by subscribing or following on the audio side. So if you're watching this video right now, if you could do me a favor, pause it for 5 seconds, open up your cell phone or your laptop, just go to either Apple or Spotify, use the search bar, type in Talking Buffalo, and just hit the follow button. That's it. That's the only way you're going to get every single episode in its entirety. And it also, if you want to help support Talking Buffalo, you want to help support me in the show, that's the best way to do it by following on the audio side as well. It really, really, really helps us grow. So I would appreciate that very much. Tomorrow's show, PK from Buffalo Sports Collective is going to join me. We're going to talk Bills, talk a little bit of Sabres, plenty to talk about now with the Sabres between the draft lottery flop the other night and Andrew Peters reporting from after the whistle that Kevin Adams will be back for another year as Sabres, I almost said Bills, Sabres general manager. So we'll hit on that stuff. And then we're also going to preview the Buffalo Bandits. Buffalo Sports Collective does a freaking outstanding job of covering the Buffalo Bandits. Championship series beginning Friday, trying to win a third straight championship. This is their fifth straight year being in the championship. Probably the greatest run in the history of Buffalo professional sports. And a lot of us, unfortunately, including me to some extent, have been missing the boat. So that'll be tomorrow. But for now, let's jump into my 10 Bills predictions between now and week one. And these aren't necessarily in order of significance or importance, but they're just kind of 10 random predictions that I'm feeling as they stand right now. Number one, Tre White looks really good this summer, and Tre White begins week one as CB2. And I want to preface this that there's an equal chance that Tre White doesn't look that good this summer. And if he doesn't, there's just as good of a chance that Tre White doesn't even make this team, let alone start. Okay. Because if he doesn't start, if Tre White doesn't end up starting, at best, he is insurance who will be a game day inactive. If Tre White doesn't start, Tre White ain't dressing because Tre White is giving you nothing on special teams. And you can't have backup defensive backs who don't play on special teams. So again, Tre White is either going to start or he ain't dressing at all, or he ain't going to make this roster. But here's how I'm feeling right now. I think Tre White looked pretty good once he got to Baltimore. He was an absolute disaster with the Rams, I think for two reasons. Number one, the scheme, it just didn't fit. And you don't have to be Eric Turner or Anthony Borowska from Cover One to realize that when you go back and you watch some of the tapes, he was playing a lot of press man. He was being asked to cover receivers one on one vertically up and down the field. That's never been what Tre White does best. So I think the fit was bad with the Rams. And also, I'm not sure that he was 100% mentally there as much as the same as physically. We saw it when he came back with the Buffalo Bills. So he tears his ACL. He comes back the following season. I think it was about halfway through, maybe a little bit later. And he was out there physically, but he wasn't the same player. Physically, he wasn't there. And I think mentally, he wasn't there either. And then the following summer at training camp, he was all the way back healthy, got his confidence back, had a great training camp, and he had an outstanding first month of the season with the Bills before he unfortunately tore the Achilles in week 4 against the Miami Dolphins at the end of that game. I kind of feel like with the Rams, it was kind of the same thing. He was back, but he wasn't all the way back physically, and I certainly don't think he was all the way back mentally. He goes to Baltimore, and he was better. I mean, he wasn't great. He wasn't all-pro Tre White that we became accustomed to in Buffalo for that handful of years, but he's pretty good, pretty good. And now at this point, I think he's far enough removed from that Achilles injury. Just like I said, he looked good the first month. The following season after the ACL, or I should say 2 seasons later, I think him going out and looking good at camp, it affords Sean McDermott to be 100% sure that Max Hairston is ready to start, and he will, and it should be soon. And Tre White's starting job may be short lived, but I think, and I'm predicting now, that he looks good enough during the summer at training camp, maybe the preseason when he gets a cup of coffee during a game or two, that I think ultimately Tre White is going to get that nod from Sean McDermott, who really loves his veterans. So there you go. I think Tre White is your week 1 starter. He may or may not start for the season, but I do think he starts week 1, unless he's washed. I mean, again, that's a possibility. He could be washed. It could be as simple as that. If he's washed, he won't be on this roster. So there you go. Next one, staying with the cornerbacks. So I think Tre White's going to start. Dane Jackson, not as lucky. I don't see him making this team. Tre getting signed after him, that wasn't a good sign for him. But then especially after they drafted Hairston and Jordan Hancock and Dorian Strong, it kind of felt like a Dane Jackson burial. In fact, during the draft, I was tweeting on day 3, I think it was, after Hancock and Strong. In fact, it was day 3. One of the only tweets I had during that entire day 3 was, I hope Dane Jackson's running, because I don't think the odds of him making this team are good anymore. And it's pretty wild, because he goes from, when he signed in short time, he goes from being quite possibly the short-term CB2, a guy with a safe floor, but a low ceiling, which was okay, because it's like, well, Dane Jackson could start, and at some point, a rookie's going to challenge him, maybe right away, for the job. But Tre White kind of took over that mantle when he signed. So he goes from that to being a guy who's going to have an uphill battle to even make this team. And I'll tell you another thing that he's got going against him is the fact that he's not a special teams standout at all. He only played 9 reps on special teams with the Carolina Panthers last year. So that's certainly not going to help his case. If you got an old number 30 Dane Jackson jersey laying around and you thought you were going to wear it at the stadium this year, you still can, but I don't think you're going to be seeing Dane Jackson playing football here in Orchard Park this fall. One more, then we'll get to a quick break. Connor McGovern is going to get an extension before week 1. That's a prediction I have. All eyes are going to be on James Cook and James Cook's contract. That's where all the attention is lied all off season to some extent right now, and it'll pick up, I'm sure, as we get closer to summer camp. But I think it's going to be Connor McGovern who ends up getting a deal done right before the season starts. It's a solid center. I was a Pro Bowl alternate last year. I feel like he's bigger than Mitch Morse. I think he's everything you want in a center for Josh Allen and for this football team, for Joe Brady, and the way that they like to play. And if you could lock up Connor McGovern alongside Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, your two tackles, that's 60% of the line that you're going to have locked up here before the season starts for the foreseeable future. I think that'd be a really good thing. I know they've had talks. Connor McGovern was on cover one early in the offseason, said without saying it so much, I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. I'm not going to quote him exactly, but the talks didn't really amount to too much. He talked about it being a business, and we'll see what happens. But I do think at some point during camp, I feel like talks might pick up with his representation, and ultimately, I think Brandon Beane will get something done, and Connor McGovern will get an extension before the season starts. Anyway, real quick break. We'll come back. We'll get through more of these 10 Bills predictions before week one. All right, we are back here going over some of my Bills predictions before the season starts, how I feel right now in early May. I mentioned James Cook before the break, saying that, all eyes would be on James Cook, but it's going to be Connor McGovern who gets the extension done. When it comes to James Cook, people are probably expecting problems with his attitude, perhaps him even showing up at all for training camp, maybe a holdout. If you want to have an extremist point of view, there's been people, and I've actually hinted at this myself in fairness, a potential even Hassan Reddick situation like with the Jets last year, where the dude just said, you know what, I will eat money. I will sit out for as long as I possibly can, get a minimum amount of games in, give a half-ass effort, and get to free agency. And in fairness to Hassan Reddick, that plan didn't work out terribly because besides the fact that the Jets absolutely sucked and were a complete embarrassment, a disgrace, and a tire fire, Hassan Reddick sort of cashed in with free agency. He was the first free agent to sign, literally, during this 2026 class. He goes to Tampa and he got 1 year, $14 million, 12 of that guaranteed. So it wasn't that bad of a decision by Reddick. Anyway, here's my point. That shit ain't happening with James Cook. That's my prediction. Don't count me among those who think he's going to hold out into the season or that he's even going to go through training camp in the preseason without reporting. I'm not among that faction, or at least I'm not now, that thinks that's going to happen. I do think he's going to skip all the voluntary shit for sure. He may even skip mandatory minicamp, maybe to send a point out to the Bills, to the organization, maybe. But push comes to shove, he's there at camp. And I think he's there at camp pretty much from the start. James Cook knows he's got a lot of shit riding on this season. A lot. He knows the Buffalo Bills got two running backs behind them that they very much feel confident as well. Ty Johnson could get the job done. Ray Davis did get the job done. Last year when James Cook got hurt and he didn't play against the Jets, it was Ray Davis who stepped up and had a $152 yards from scrimmage. So he knows that they got very capable running backs behind him. He knows that he's not going to be able to hold this organization hostage. Like, say, if the situation was, who's a good guy I could think of? A Christian Benford or Terrell Bernard or a Khalil Shakir. Like, the drop off behind those guys, what they do is so significant. And I love me some James Cook. I've been very vocal about that. My point is this. There's capable guys behind him, and he's aware of that. Again, I'm a big James Cook guy, and I think the contract stuff is a little bit overblown, to be honest with you. Even though I know it was James Cook himself that allowed this shit to get this way by talking or by putting something on Instagram, quote tweeting a couple things on Twitter. I know he did that one podcast where he was talking about wanting to get paid, and I don't blame him for any of that. I've been a big proponent of players getting their money in the NFL when they can, because this is the only sport where the contract don't mean shit other than the guaranteed money. You sign a contract in baseball, hockey, basketball, you're getting every penny of it. Whether you get hurt or not, whether you play or not, whether you underperform or not, the team has to eat that contract. You're getting paid. Football, that's not the case. They can cut you. So get your money when you can. I understand all that. Look, James Cook loves Buffalo. James Cook loves Buffalo. I've heard that from a lot of people that I trust. Like genuinely likes Buffalo. Not he's here because they're a good football team and they pay him well. He likes being a Buffalo Bill, okay? His teammates like him a ton. All right. That was obvious too. That New England finale last year, that it was really obvious about how the team feels about James Cook. They wanted him to get that 1,000 yards. That's why they let him play when they had nothing to gain by James Cook as a team being out there. When he needed a one touchdown to tie O.J. Simpson's franchise record in the second half of a quite literal meaningless season finale, they put Cook out there so he can get that tutty. That tells you that Sean McDermott, the coach who makes that decision, and his teammates, who I'm sure push Sean for it, that's how they feel about him. And it's a reciprocal feeling because James Cook feels the same way. I'm telling you. He wants to be here. He just wants to get paid. And whether he ultimately does or not, who knows? But I don't think he's going to be a problem at all. I know a lot of people think otherwise, that it's going to be a big issue. I don't. His contract desires on social media will be ancient history before we get to week one. I'm telling you, that's the way it's going to play out. Next one here, Javon Sullivan. I think he's going to be an OTA in training camp star. No one talks about him, especially after signing Joe Bosa, Michael Hoyt. They draft Landon Jackson in the third round. When I look at Javon Sullivan last year as a rookie, a fifth-round rookie, I saw glimpses of Von Miller last year. Glimpses. 2 sacks, nothing great. But you go to PFF, per PFF, they have a stat that's called pass rushing productivity. And I'm be honest with you, I don't know what that shit is. I don't know what the formula is, but I know it's something that a lot of people use. And Javon Sullivan's pass rush productivity number was 9.9. It was the best on the team of anybody. And that includes Von Miller, and that also includes Greg Rizzo. Now, it's a smaller sample size, of course. But that 9.9, by the way, that would have been the top among the top dozen in the entire NFL if he had played enough snaps to qualify. And I ain't saying the dude's the next Von Miller, so let's be clear about that, all right? Those are some unrealistic, stupid expectations to put on a young fifth-round pick. But what I'm telling you is he's a pass rush specialist, and we're sleeping on him. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I ain't sleeping on him, though. I think he's developing. I think he's going to impress. It would not surprise me at all if he's a guy that everyone's talking about at the end of the season, that, again, nobody pretty much is talking about right now. And I get it. Joe Bosa is the marquee name. Michael Hoyt suspended for 6 games, but he does a lot of things. Greg Rizzo got a big-ass extension. You draft Landon Jackson. I understand all that. Just telling you, I think Javon Sullivan is somebody that people are sleeping on, and I think he's going to in year 2. Now that he's developed more, I think you're going to see a lot of that in the summer, and he's going to create a buzz. Next one here. Damar Hamlin versus Derek Forrest could be the biggest battle of all training camp for the Bills. Both signed a one-year deal. In Forrest's case, he signed with the Bills, came over from Washington. In the case of Damar Hamlin, he went out there, tested the market. There was nothing really there for him. He ends up coming back to the Bills on a $2 million deal. Neither of those contracts would prohibit the Bills from either making them a starter or cutting them. In all likelihood, Forrest versus Hamlin, that's going to be a battle to see who the number 3 safety is behind Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop in all likeliness. So the winner, that's going to be the number 3 safety who plays on game days. They're active on game days. Hamlin is the name, obviously, the more popular player, the more polarizing figure. And he started all season long last year when he was healthy. Sean McDermott likes him as a player. Certainly more than a lot of fans. If I'm being honest, certainly more than I do. Um, he's fundamentally sound. He's smart, but he also got exposed plenty, especially near the end of the season last year. I think he got exposed plenty for a lack of athleticism too often, especially that Chiefs game. That was brutal. That was hard to watch. Forrest, look, he was great with Washington in 2022. Had a great season. Then he got hurt in 2023. And then this past year, he got washed out by a new staff in Washington, Quinn and his staff. So he flamed out there. I was excited. When he signed, I was excited about his addition here. And I think ultimately, just like it is if you're not a starter, special teams is going to be a factor. DeMar Hamlin's played plenty on special teams. He's been all right, but so did Forrest. So I don't think there's any real advantage to either of those guys. Derek Forrest played 153 snaps on special teams last year with Washington. And again, I think that's going to be a factor. Here's the thing, though. Not only does the winner get that number 3 spot active on game days, and maybe, if Bishop or Rapp get hurt, well, if one of them get hurt, or even if their play falters, maybe they ultimately get a chance to start. But the loser of that battle could end up being on the outs with this roster altogether. Because I think there's at least a chance that Cam Lewis or 5th round rookie Jordan Hancock, one of those two guys, Cam Lewis, a special team standout for the Bills. I mean, he's really good on special teams, very versatile piece. Hancock in college played safety, corner, boundary, inside, good on special teams in school. One of those two guys could be that 4th safety, in part for that reason. I don't necessarily expect it, but I wouldn't be shocked if DeMar Hamlin or Derek Forrest, one of those guys, find themselves in trouble making this roster. And again, at a minimum, both aren't active if Rapp and Bishop are healthy and starting. So on Sundays, I don't think if Rapp and Bishop are both healthy, I don't think you're going to see both DeMar Hamlin and Derek Forrest dress. And I'm not confident that you're going to even see both of them on the active roster. So there's that. Another one I got here, another prediction. Fans and media are going to marvel at new defensive tackle Deion Walker. 6'6", 345 pounds. Dude is a beast. And he's far niftier and swifter, athletic than most people would think for a big man that's that size. Brandon Beane said it after the draft. He was hurt last year. His play was not good last year. Very well documented. His play fell off from 2023 over this past year. Back injury, plenty to do with it. You would assume. He has said so. You could take him for his word. Brandon Beane has said that as well. Brandon said that had he come out after 2023, he would have been a 1st-round pick. Maybe that's a little bit ambitious, but I certainly don't think he would have been a 4th-round pick if he came out in 2023. Anyway, my point is this. The talent is there. The physicality is there. The athleticism is there. The physical prowess, the ability, the potential for the idea of what Deion Walker can be is going to be on full display this summer. And when you look at him and you see him moving around, it's really going to catch your eye. He's going to be somebody that all eyes are on at camp. All eyes. Media, content creators, fans. How quickly Deion Walker comes along it's going to be a big deal. He's going to have a chance to, I think, to play some significant snaps early on. And I'll tell you what. If Dwayne Carter, who could have been a topic on his own here today on today's episode, if he looks good playing some of that one tech, which, so we're clear, when I said it could have been his own topic, I don't think he's cut out to play that position. That's my personal opinion, my prediction. but let's just say that he is. Let's say that he's playing plenty of one tech this summer, play some preseason games, and he looks impressive there. I'll start wondering, I'll start wondering, will DaQuan Jones become a candidate for a surprise late roster cut? Could be. Could be. If Walker's healthy and looking the part, and if Dwayne Carter looks like he's a guy who could give you 30 to 40% of some one tech snaps, not to mention there's going to be plenty of TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver playing together anyway. So I don't really think you're going to have that traditional one tech defensive tackle out there, on every defensive snap anyway. DaQuan Jones could be interesting. That's not my prediction. No, my prediction, like I said, is that I think for sure you're going to see an impressive looking Deion Walker at camp. All right, a couple more of these to get through. Here's my next one. Tyrell Shavers will make the Bills 53-man roster. Laviska Shenault, KJ Hamler, Jalen Virgil, the 7th-round rookie, Caden Prather, perhaps another addition is not on the team right now. They're all going to be in the mix. They're going to battle it out for a 6 wide receiver spot. But I think ultimately it's going to be Shavers who comes away with the job. Obviously, Shavers flashed in that Jets game last year. We saw a little bit of a glimpse of what he could do on offense, that 69-yard catch and run for a touchdown late in the season. But it's not that. It's his ability on special teams. I think that's going to allow him to separate and ultimately what's going to help him make this football team. Some years, the Bills only keep 5 receivers, but I think this year keeping 6 is a lock. And that's because between Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, Curtis Samuel, Elijah Moore, who just signed, all 5 of those guys, those dudes offer 0 value on special teams when it comes to blocking and coverage. 0. You can't have no wide receivers play special teams. You just can't. Not in today's NFL. If you're not starting, you got to be able to play special teams. Or at least, again, if you're one of the top 4, not one of the top 4 receivers, you got to be able to play some special teams. So that's why I think they're going to keep 6. And why I think a guy like Shavers has an outstanding path to make this roster. Prather will look the part for sure. And he'll have some moments. Kind of got that bigger Mac Hollins potential vibe. Some people have even said his ceiling could be like a Gabe Davis. Again, I'll always say that's ambitious for a 7th-round pick. But he feels to me like a developmental guy, being a 7th rounder. And being a 7th rounder, he could probably get cut and stashed away on the practice squad. Or you could do what all teams, including the Bills, always seem to do with players like this. He'll stub his toe on the field during a practice and it'll end up on IR. And the Bills will do that so that they can unofficially redshirt him. So I think that's the path with him, unless he really blows you away. But I really like Tyrell Shavers to be that 6th receiver on this team because I think he's really good on special teams. And he'll play. I mean, if he makes the roster, and I'm telling you he's a special team standout, that means he's going to get on the field. That means he's going to be active on game day. Might see a little bit of a competition between Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel, who's more impressive to see who dresses with the 46 if the Bills are going to keep 4 pass catchers active for game day. Its own little battle. All right, I got 2 more here. Things are shaping up that we're going to see Jake Camarda versus Brad Robbins and Punt Palooza, to use a Joe B term here, for the punting job. My prediction is this. The winner of that's going to be neither. My prediction is the Bills punter is not on this roster currently. And I ain't got no idea who it's ultimately going to be, all right? I have no freaking clue. I don't know punters. I know maybe 5 around the league, and 3 of them are probably former Buffalo Bills. But someone's going to get cut somewhere, and whoever that player is that gets cut is going to be better than Jake Camarda, or especially Brad Robbins, who was out of the league last year and was literally the worst punter with Cincinnati in the entire NFL in 2023. I'm surprised the Bills didn't draft a punter. I think it was one that got drafted, maybe. I don't remember. But anyway, neither of those guys are going to be the answer. They'll find somebody. It's not going to be either of them. Last one here, folks. The Bills will be preparing for their week one opponents, who will be the Baltimore Ravens, on Sunday Night Football. That's my last prediction here. The Bills are going to prep week one opponent, Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. Philadelphia won the Super Bowl, and as Super Bowl champs, they kick off the season Thursday Night Football at home, and it's surely going to be one of two opponents. It's either going to be Washington in a rematch of the NFC Championship, or it'll be against Detroit, a great team, a fun team to watch, a marquee game. So that's going to be your Thursday night game. I feel like the NFL wants to really do it big in week one, and the Bills hosting Baltimore in prime time is just about as big as it gets there. The Bills, of course, played in Baltimore last year, Monday Night Football in prime time. So it would be nice for the league to kind of return the favor. I can see that happening. If you're wondering about Bills openers in recent years, you're not going to get any clues because it's been all over the place. Last year, they played at home against Arizona, who was not expected to do much. That was a Sunday 1:00 game. 2023, Monday Night Football at the New York Jets. That was the Josh Allen disaster game. Probably maybe the worst game of his entire career. Josh was awful. That game, the Bills lost. 2022, they opened up the season Thursday Night Football on the road at the Rams, who won the Super Bowl the year before, and the Bills smacked them. That was a shellacking. And then in 2021, they had Pittsburgh at home to start the season. So no real trend there, just kind of like a gut feeling. We'll find out soon. We'll find out. I think it's next Wednesday when the official schedule is announced. Now, two predictions I didn't cover, but I'll just throw them out there real quick. Bonuses that I could see. I could see Mike White beating out Mitch Trubisky to win the backup job to Josh. And then the other thing, positionally, I could see second-year offensive lineman, Tylan Grable. I could see him. I think he's developed enough. I could see him beating out Ryan Vandermark for a swing tackle job. Because one thing I didn't talk about on this show, if Tylan Grable doesn't beat out Vandermark, you keep Vandermark, he's your swing tackle. The Bills drafted at Chase Lunt in the 6th round. And I look at this depth chart for the Bills. They usually carry 9. They would have to carry 10 because I don't think you could cut Chase Lunt and expect to get him back at the practice squad. Somebody might pick him up. Taking a big risk if you waive him. I know he's a 6th rounder, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets waived and somebody takes action on him. And I don't think you want to keep 10 guys. So if Tylan Grable could be that guy who beats out Ryan Vandermark, you could cut Ryan Vandermark. I can see that happening. Then you're down to 9. That allows you an extra DB or maybe a dedicated kick returner like Brandon Codrington, who otherwise I think is going to struggle to make this roster. But anyway, all right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you very much. Again, I got to give some love to my daughter, my beautiful daughter, graduating. Throw some pictures up here later in the week from Duville College today. It's just so cool. I'm so excited for her. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. PK from the Buffalo Sports Collective. We'll be talking Bills, Sabres, and Bandits. Talk to you guys then.